The diplomatic shuttle hummed with nervous energy as Commander Vrel adjusted his ceremonial sash for the 15th time. Beside him, Ambassador Koth drummed 3 of her 6 fingers against the armrest, a habit she exhibited only when genuinely concerned. "Remind me again why we agreed to this meeting," Vrel muttered, watching the blue marble of Earth grow larger in the viewport. Koth's mandibles clicked in what passed for a sigh among her species. "Because the Galactic Council insisted. Because these humans have been making noise about joining the greater community. Because someone has to assess whether they're ready." "Ready?" Vrel snorted. "They've barely left their own solar system. Their weapons technology is laughable. Their fastest ships move like drunken slugs through honey. And yet," Koth said quietly, "they destroyed the Vorgath scouting fleet last month." That shut Vrel up. The Vorgath didn't send scouting fleets. They sent extinction armadas. 300 warships, reduced to glittering debris in less than an hour. The Council had studied the engagement footage obsessively, trying to understand what had happened. The humans claimed it was a defensive response to territorial violation. The Vorgath, what remained of them, claimed nothing at all. They simply retreated to their home systems and went silent. Their shuttle descended through Earth's atmosphere, guided by automated systems that were surprisingly sophisticated. Vrel noted the orbital defense platforms, the satellite networks, the subtle energy signatures that suggested the humans had weaponized basically everything they could get their appendages on. Paranoid little creatures. The landing pad sat in what humans called Geneva, surrounded by mountains that Vrel found unsettlingly jagged. A delegation waited, led by a woman whose dark skin gleamed in the afternoon sun. She wore a simple blue uniform with minimal ornamentation. No weapons visible, but then again, humans excelled at concealment. "Welcome to Earth," she said, her translator rendering the sounds into something Vrel's audio receptors could process. "I'm Director Amora Okonkwo, representing the United Earth Defense Initiative. We're honored by your visit." The pleasantries continued as they were led into a facility that was equal parts government complex and fortress. Vrel's tactical implants catalogued security measures, escape routes, and potential threat vectors automatically. Everything seemed standard. Almost boring. "You've made quite an impression on the galactic stage," Koth said as they walked through corridors lined with art depicting human history. "Lots of warfare," Vrel noticed. "These beings really enjoyed killing each other." Okonkwo's smile didn't quite reach her eyes. "We prefer to think we've simply introduced ourselves properly. By obliterating an established military power?" Vrel couldn't keep the skepticism from his voice. "By defending our territory," Okonkwo corrected. The Vorgath were warned. Multiple times. In 17 different languages and communication formats. They chose to proceed anyway. They entered a conference room with a massive window overlooking some body of water humans called a lake. The view was admittedly pleasant, though Vrel would never admit it out loud. "Your council wants assurances," Okonkwo said, dispensing with further small talk. "They want to know if humanity poses a threat to galactic stability. If we're aggressive expansionists. If we're going to be a problem." Koth's translator struggled with her species' equivalent of a polite cough. "Those are rather direct summations, but essentially accurate. Your rapid technological advancement, combined with your enthusiastic response to the Vorgath incursion, has raised concerns." Okonkwo nodded slowly. "Understandable. Let me address those concerns with equal directness. We don't want your territory. We don't want to dominate the galaxy. We just want to be left alone to develop on our own terms. Then why destroy an entire fleet?" Vrel demanded. "Why not disable them? Capture them? Display mercy?" The director's expression hardened. "Because mercy to predators is cruelty to their future victims. The Vorgath have a documented history spanning 4 centuries. 63 civilizations conquered or exterminated. We studied your own databases, Commander. We know exactly what they are." Vrel's primary heart skipped a beat. "You accessed Council databases? You left them surprisingly unprotected," Okonkwo said with a shrug. "Your cybersecurity is about 2 centuries behind your weapons technology. Interesting priorities. Before Vrel could formulate a response that balanced diplomatic necessity with genuine outrage, alarms began shrieking throughout the facility. Okonkwo's relaxed demeanor vanished instantly. She touched a device on her wrist, and a holographic display materialized above the conference table. "Report," she snapped. A voice responded with crisp military precision. Multiple contacts emerging from slipstream 7,000 kilometers beyond lunar orbit. Configuration matches Krellian assault patterns. They're broadcasting ultimatums demanding immediate surrender of all human territories and technology. Koth stood so abruptly her chair toppled backward. The Krellians? Here? This is madness. They're supposed to be in the outer reaches dealing with their rebellion. Looks like they multitask, Okonkwo said grimly. She tapped commands into her wrist device. Authorization Okonkwo 7 Delta. Activate Project Goliath. Vrel felt his blood chill despite the comfortable room temperature. Something in the director's voice suggested they were about to witness something significant. Something the council would definitely want to know about. "What," he said slowly, "is Project Goliath?" Okonkwo walked to the window, gesturing for them to join her. "You wanted to understand humanity, Commander. You wanted to assess whether we're ready for the galactic community. Allow me to provide a demonstration." In the distance, the lake began to ripple. Then churn. Then explode upward in a geyser that reached toward the sky like a liquid mountain. And from beneath those waters, something rose. Something absolutely massive. Vrel's vocal sacs seized completely. Every instinct he possessed screamed contradictory commands. Flee. Hide. Transmit warning. Document everything. His hands gripped the window frame hard enough to leave impressions in the metal. The vessel emerging from the lake defied every principle of warship construction the Council had established over 12,000 years of spacefaring civilization. It was wrong. Beautifully, terrifyingly wrong. "Specifications, please," Koth whispered, her translator barely functioning through her shock. Okonkwo consulted her wrist display with the casualness of someone ordering lunch. Length, 4 kilometers. Mass, approximately 8 million metric tons. Primary armament includes relativistic kinetic batteries, directed plasma arrays, and what we affectionately call the reset button. The what? Vrel managed to croak. Quantum destabilization cannon. Experimental. Only fired twice in testing. Both times we accidentally deleted small moons from existence. Whoops. She said that last word with such profound lack of concern that Vrel wondered if humans actually understood the concept of restraint. The vessel, this Titan, continued its ascent. Water cascaded off hull plating that seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. Gun ports opened along its flanks like predatory eyes awakening. The air itself hummed with barely contained power. How? Koth demanded. Your metallurgy can barely produce decent hull plating. Your power systems are primitive fusion reactors. Your weapons technology is centuries behind standard council specifications. Was, Okonkwo corrected. Past tense. Turns out when you're a species that spent 10,000 years perfecting the art of killing each other, you develop certain creative approaches to problem solving. We don't have your elegant solutions, Ambassador. We have brute force solutions that happen to work frighteningly well. Vrel's tactical implants finally processed the vessel's configuration and nearly shut down from the sheer impossibility of it all. Those engine signatures. That's not possible. You'd need antimatter containment systems that won't be developed for another 3 centuries according to our projections. Your projections assumed we'd follow established technological progression pathways, Okonkwo said. We didn't. We skipped steps. Combined technologies that shouldn't work together. Ignored safety margins that seemed overly cautious. Had some spectacular failures. Lost some good people. Learned. Adapted. Built this. The Goliath cleared the lake entirely, hovering on gravitational systems that bent physics in ways Vrel's education insisted were impossible. Its shadow fell across the facility like nightfall arriving early. Transmission from Krellian Fleet Commander, announced the voice from Okonkwo's communicator. They're demanding to know what that thing is. Tell them it's humanity's diplomatic response to uninvited guests, Okonkwo replied. And activate the escort flotilla. Around the Goliath, water erupted from dozens of locations across the lake. Smaller vessels, each one comparable to council cruisers, rose in formation. Vrel counted 30 before losing track. Each bristled with weapons that made his tactical systems weep in confusion. Koth's 6 hands trembled. You've been preparing for war. We've been preparing for survival, Okonkwo corrected sharply. There's a difference. Every species we studied in your databases followed similar patterns. Expand. Conquer. Dominate. The Vorgath. The Krellians. Even your precious council, back in its early formation. You all assumed the universe belonged to whoever could take it. And humans assume differently? Vrel asked. Humans assume the universe belongs to nobody, Okonkwo said. And we're prepared to violently defend that assumption. The Goliath began moving, accelerating with impossible speed toward the approaching Krellian fleet. Vrel's implants tracked its velocity and reported numbers that made no sense. The escort vessels followed in perfect formation. You understand this is an act of war against a council-aligned species, Koth said desperately. This will have consequences. The Krellians initiated hostilities, Okonkwo replied. We're simply responding. With enthusiasm. Through the window, they watched as the Goliath reached firing range. The Krellian fleet, 200 strong, began their attack runs. Energy weapons struck the Titan's hull and dissipated like raindrops against stone. Missiles detonated prematurely as defensive systems Vrel couldn't even identify intercepted them. Then the Goliath returned fire. The primary batteries spoke with voices that resonated through dimensions. Vrel watched as Krellian battleships simply ceased existing, torn apart by kinetic projectiles moving at significant fractions of light speed. The plasma arrays carved through formations like a hot blade through frozen atmosphere. The escort vessels picked off stragglers with surgical precision. It wasn't a battle. It was an extermination demonstration. Krellian commander is requesting immediate ceasefire and withdrawal, the voice reported. Granted, Okonkwo said. On condition they never return to this system. Transmit full engagement footage to their high command. Let them explain to their superiors why they lost another fleet. Vrel turned from the window, his legs barely supporting him. Your species is insane. No, Commander, Okonkwo said gently. We're survivors. We evolved on a planet that spent 4 billion years trying to kill us. We survived ice ages, supervolcano eruptions, asteroid impacts, and countless extinction events. Then we survived each other for 10,000 years of recorded history. We learned hard lessons about preparation, about deterrence, about the cost of weakness. She walked to the conference table, gesturing for them to sit. They did, mostly because standing seemed too difficult. Here's what you'll report to your council, Okonkwo continued. Humanity requests formal recognition as an independent sovereign power. We will trade. We will communicate. We will even provide assistance when asked nicely. But we will not submit to council authority. We will not accept restrictions on our territory or development. And we will absolutely not tolerate military threats. The council will never accept these terms, Koth said. Then the council will learn the same lesson the Vorgath and Krellians just learned, Okonkwo replied. We're not asking for permission, Ambassador. We're informing you of reality. Vrel looked at Koth, saw his own thoughts reflected in her expression. They'd come to assess whether humanity was ready for the galactic community. Instead, they'd learned something far more disturbing. The galactic community needed to prepare for humanity. Outside, the Goliath descended back toward its hidden berth, victorious and terrifying. Somewhere in the distance, the Krellian fleet retreated at maximum speed, carrying warnings that would echo across council space. Earth had arrived, and the galaxy would never be the same.
Hello everyone. If you are enjoying this video and finding it helpful, don't forget to support our channel. Please subscribe to our channel, press the like button, and share this video with your friends and family. Also, make sure to turn on the notification bell so you never miss our upcoming videos. We regularly upload amazing, informative, and entertaining content just for you. Your support means a lot to us and motivates us to bring even better content in the future. Thank you so much for watching, and welcome to our growing community.